What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with some flashing lights. It has been like 4 months since my last video. It looks like I was surprised by that. It really doesn't feel like that long since I last played this, at least not for the channel. And, you know, they just came out with some pretty big news today that I wanted to talk about a little bit and take a look at some of the stuff that I kind of skipped over. Now, most of the changes to the game, there hasn't been anything super notable. Most of it's been quality of life stuff and like visual improvements to some of the existing areas. So adding stuff like NPCs, obviously like the menu here has been overhauled and they added the ability to use a mouse cursor, which is so long overdue. That was one of the things I've hated the most for so long, and the game's been in early access for like 5 years, and that always drove me absolutely nuts. So this is fantastic. Max vehicle traffic's been increased to 40. I think it can only go up to like 10 or 15 before or something, couldn't it? Holy cow, can it... Really? Let's, I don't know how well that's gonna go, but let's go ahead and just max this stuff out here. I am really curious about the performance hit here, guys. This is new to me. I was reading through the patch notes, and I didn't read through everything in the patch notes from like the last 4 months. I didn't see that in the notes at all about like increases to max traffic, but I'm pretty sure that didn't go to 40 before. I feel like I would remember that. I am definitely concerned though about performance hit here with this, but we'll see, I guess, what happens. The game usually runs pretty smoothly, even with, I guess, max traffic, but I mean, that's a huge increase from what we normally would see. Again, roll menu, you can use this, and then they changed the spawn in, and so they said they added in a new spawn to City East, which I guess you've got, this is like the City West spawn, and then this is City East, presumably, so we've got a new station here, it looks like. One thing I hope they change is I would love to see an overhaul on the characters and the character customization, and this is something I've talked about in the past, but one, like, some of the quality stuff for the game has improved visually over the years, and the uniforms really haven't kept up with that. And these uniforms, like this, is just like a blank yellow patch on the sleeve. Looks kind of odd. And yeah, there's stuff like uniform textures and stuff, and those are okay, but it would be nice to actually be able to like say, hey, pick your race and your gender and stuff like that. And even, you know, would love to see like hair customization if they really wanted to go crazy with the character customization, add stuff in like that. But actually be able to like pick like what race you want to be, what gender you want to be, and then like have that different uniforms and colors and stuff available, and the different accessories available to all these people. I mean, obviously the accessories are available regardless of, you know, character, but the uniforms aren't. And like the only way to get around that would be to actually do like uniform retextures, which I guess you could definitely do, but I feel from a quality perspective it would definitely be a lot nicer to have that. Also, I'm looking at this and all these badges are round except for this guy's. He's got like an oval badge, which I feel is kind of closer to maybe what the badge should be, but anyways, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play our usual guy of like this state trooper looking dude, and we're gonna get in because I really want to check out some of this other stuff. So the most recent patch, this new patch that they just announced today, that's been in testing for a little bit now, it includes in-game role, character, and escape menus updated. So obviously we saw the character menu was updated there a second ago when we were selecting that. Looks like the world's still loading in. Let's push F8, turn that off, I guess. That's obviously new though. There's an escape menu, so you can now hit escape, and this pulls up. So they're planning to add tutorials. It looks like they've got some tutorials already. Okay, so they added in the tutorials. I thought this was something that they had planned to add in, but they've added in tutorials. The game's pretty easy. It's really straightforward, I think, but you know, if I've also played it gradually as they've added stuff over 5 years, so I had kind of an opportunity to gradually learn all the tools and equipment as they added it. So if you guys are just hopping in for the first time, now they've got tutorials. Um, in-game role. I guess that was the main menu when we were selecting if we were fire, EMS, or police. So Beach Town was updated. They added player spawn points to City East departments. So this is, again, the City East department. NPCs were added to the police stations. So here, yeah, we've got NPC police. Now I'm kind of curious if the police officers, the NPCs that we see, are all going to just be in the same uniform at every department, or if they're going to have different uniforms to pay, or based off of what departments they're at, because I'm kind of curious about that. It would make a lot of sense. I've always kind of envisioned that, like, the white uniforms would be like COD Town, black uniforms would be like here in the actual city, so I am kind of curious because I haven't looked at that. When creating a server, there's now an option to set it as continuous or not. If set off, server shuts down after host leaves the game. So you can have continuous servers, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of curious how that works. I guess they're server hosting through Steam or something now, as opposed to it just being solely client side, maybe. Yeah, so all this kind of comes though because they've announced that they're going to be leaving early access officially, and they've basically said, hey, you know, we've been in early access for 5 years now, and well, we've still got a lot of work to do. Being early access for 5 years is kind of ridiculous. And, you know, there's a whole conversation there to be had, separate from flashing lights, of what constitutes early access for a game and how long a game could justifiably be in early access for. Because, I mean, you've got not just stuff like flashing lights, but, you know, Star Citizen, all these other games that, you know, spend years and years and years in early access. And, you know, do we as a community of gamers just accept that when a game's in early access for years and years and years like that? You know, and generally I've been, you know, keen to just kind of go, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's not a big deal because, you know, this stuff, it can take a long time to develop, especially if you're just a single person, single individual. You know, I think we're going to Beach Town. I feel like taking the Charger out today, or the Charger knockoff, I should say. So let's go ahead. We'll do the Beach Town skin. I'll take that down there. But yeah, they're planning to leave early access and then continue development, I guess. So they have said they've got a couple of things planned for the continued development in the future of the game, and they didn't give any specific dates or times or anything in terms of how this is going to go, so I don't really know what we can kind of expect with that, but they have said basically they plan to do canines. So there's going to be dogs added in some way, shape, or form. So they've said canines to police and fire department. So I'm not sure what a fire department canine would look like other than it's a station dog. I don't know of any fire departments offhand that use a canine in an official capacity. I guess there's like search and rescue application, potentially. I don't know that that would make sense here in flashing lights, but it's interesting. The canine from the aspect of police law enforcement is definitely interesting. Day-night cycle, we do have day and we do have night. It's just it's not a day-night cycle, which has always felt a little weird to me too. Having a controllable day-night cycle on an open map like this, especially if they're going to have the ability to have continuous 24/7 servers and stuff, would be pretty awesome. I definitely would like that. AI backup. So, as somebody who plays primarily solo, I don't play online a lot. AI backup would be pretty fantastic to have. I mean, there's not a lot of situations where I think I would necessarily need AI backup, but sometimes it is nice. You know, there's gunfights and stuff like that. I have a feeling a lot of those would still get resolved before the AI actually got there, but that would be pretty neat. And then they said, obviously, additional fixes, callouts, and optimizations and stuff like that. So optimization, quality of life improvements, obviously there's still a lot of room to improve and stuff like that there. I'm a little confused with this MDT though, and kind of change subjects briefly. The MDT was supposed to have been updated, I do believe, in the previous build. And we'll look at the patch notes here real quick before we get too far into this. But I'm pretty sure I saw something about the MDT getting updated. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it didn't. MDT interact in first-person view. I guess it was a fix. MDT can now be opened and closed with left shift, cursor on off with left alt. Oh, okay. I was thinking like the screen would like open and close and stuff, and then like that. I understand how this works. Okay, so you can leave that like that. Okay, that's it's not as exciting as I was kind of expecting, but that's certainly fine. I gotta say though, guys, these 40 cars that we have spawned in right now, it's not quite as heavy a traffic as what I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there's traffic out. It is working. It's just not a lot of it. So yeah, let's see. We've had that, fixes, button prompts, stuff like that. I'm trying to read the patch notes and stuff while also driving. It's not really great or ideal. Get past this guy. One of the other things I'm glad to see in the patch notes, and it's kind of a minor note that they threw in there, is that some of the missions now are actually utilizing the indoor structures a little bit further. We'll go ahead and, like I said, yeah, we're gonna be going down to Beach Town. Beach Town feels so weird calling it Beach Town because it's like out in the middle of the desert, and I don't really equate desert and beach in my mind. I'm driving kind of like a maniac here right now because I just want to try and get to these locations and check them out and check out some of the changes. And I need to get in there and double check the patch notes because there's, again, like 4 months worth of patch notes I kind of just glossed over because none of them individually sounded exciting enough to really show off in a video. But with that being said, as a whole, it's a lot cooler. Oh, these signs are new. I mean, that was one thing they've talked about a few times, is there's a lot of new decorations and stuff, but this looks a lot better here. Having these road barriers and the railroad crossing and the signs there, this actually feels like a real lived-in place now. And that was one of my issues with this game in the past, and you know, basically for like the last 5 years, is really a lot of these cities just have never felt lived in. You know, they don't even feel like real places, you know. And when I say they don't feel lived in, it's not just the fact that they were devoid of like a lot of NPCs or cars and traffic and stuff like that. It's just the city layouts and stuff like that. And having created like a map for Arma and stuff, and like even though it's kind of a crappy map, it's giving me a much bigger appreciation of designing cities and stuff and how you go about designing them and the difference of how you lay stuff out, like how big a city that makes sense feels compared to one that's just you throw like random buildings and stuff down. Okay, I found all the 40 cars. There was some performance issues there getting into the city here, but now that we've actually loaded into, or we've gotten into Beach Town, we're sitting here. Now we're seeing all of those pedestrians, and we're seeing all of the cars and traffic and everything are all over the place. So yeah, Beach Town looks much better. This, again, it definitely looks like a place that people would, you know, potentially be living here. You've got like a patch of road that's just, it's missing for whatever reason. And you can see on the road here, you know, we're not really stopping people today or anything, guys, by the way, if that's not obvious. But you know, you look at the road and there's sections where it's like, okay, this has been like retard and it's missing the paint for the lines, and it's been patched here and there, and it adds a lot more detail. You've got sidewalks. It's not just buildings up on the street. and you've got parking for cars for these businesses and stuff like that. And that's something a lot of games and stuff, and it's something like, again, in my map when I was making it, when I first started just putting stuff down, it's like I just place down buildings and stuff like that, and it's something that I've never really fully got resolved because I haven't I've kind of like just quit doing the map. But adding in stuff like the little parking lines here and stuff, having actual parking spaces for these businesses and these little alleyways and stuff where people are working instead of just throwing down a bunch of buildings randomly to fill in space, it really does make a big difference. I mean, this feels completely different than the last time I played. Honestly, I'm genuinely surprised because it's still in the notes. Like I said, they said, hey, we've added a bunch of objects and decorations around the city, but I definitely didn't expect this extent of upgrade and I guess beautification. I don't know if that's the right term for it in this scenario, since they kind of made the city a little bit more raggedy and stuff. But it feels, again, it feels lived in. It feels like an actual city in place with objects that people are using, parking, and wear and tear and stuff. And it's not just this perfect city on blocks and stuff like that. Now I do notice the traffic lights don't seem to be working. Cars are just driving right on through. I don't know if that's specific to Beachtown. I didn't notice that in the city when I was driving around like a madman. Yeah, this looks actually really good now. Let's go ahead. Let's pull up on the sidewalk here for just a second, and I want to take a look at the patch notes and see what else we have. So, I mean, there's tons and tons of fixes in terms of bugs and issues that were plaguing the game that they've changed or tweaked and stuff like that. Some of the other builds, so from a couple days ago, they posted added NPCs at fire departments and clinics. Okay, so there is actually going to be, should already be NPCs at the fire department and clinics here. So let's go ahead, let's run over there to the fire department and the clinic, and we'll check out the NPCs there and look at that. And then they've said they've spread out callouts throughout the map now, so you should be able to play in these other areas, because that was obviously an issue over really since they made the new map, is that we had callouts for a long time on the original map where the callouts were spread out through the entire map, and then we got the new map and the new cities and stuff got built up, and then there was just like never callouts. Like all the callouts were pretty much in the main city, and they started spreading them out, but it's just been more of a recent thing. Okay, so yeah, we got a person standing behind the counter there. I don't think we can get in there, yeah. So kind of a basic thing with the clinic, but that's okay. Just somebody manning the desk. That's really all it needs to be. I mean, it would be kind of neat to see like civilian NPCs maybe hanging out in there occasionally. Bump into that. And you know, some people still bash on flashing lights for being like a bad game, and I get it, it's basic compared to, you know, something like LSPDFR, but you know, again, it's nice. It's an out-of-the-box first response game that's easy to get into. You don't have to fiddle around with mods. You don't have to fart around with something like 5M or deal with GTA 5 pushing updates that break mods and stuff like that. It's just, hey, here's the game. It's ready to go. It's not perfect. It's not super in-depth, but it's just a pretty basic first response game. You can play as fire, EMS, and police, and there's stuff to do for all of them. You get callouts. That's really all it needs to be. And yeah, there's always room for improvement. I would love to see this game get more in depth with the policing and be a little bit more realistic and stuff like that. I would definitely love to see all of that. But we've got modding support and stuff, and the game's definitely improved over the years. And if they continue to support it, I would definitely be happy with that. I would, you know, again, I'm not sure that's quite at the point where I'd say it's necessarily out of early access, but I get why on paper that they would want to say the game's out of early access, to say, you know, it signals, hey, we are making progress, like the game is continuing development and everything like that. And again, I am genuinely surprised as a YouTuber who has covered this game consistently for like the last 5 years. of development. You know, the fact that I'm surprised with much in this game and coming back and seeing all this stuff that got added into the city over the last 3 months is really crazy, because you look at the patch notes, and again, the patch notes really don't tell the story of all the changes and stuff and all these like updates to the vehicles and stuff like that. So let's take a look though what the other patch notes say. So we've got added NPCs at fire departments, shoplifting and armed robberies have been moved into buildings with interiors in some cases, spread out calls throughout the map. Affected calls person with guns, suspicious activity, a bunch of different stuff. A bunch of different calls have been spread throughout the map. Diner locations added to call structure fire with possible entrapment. Okay, that's neat. Yeah, the tutorials were added a little bit earlier this month. The end of last month we had the main menu update, Beach Town updated. I thought I saw something about Cod Town too, but I can't recall. City East was updated. City East departments can use them, but not set as spawn points yet, which was obviously updated. Port area was updated. Maybe it was the port I was thinking of. The port is the new area. Traffic added to Cod Town. So basically traffic added throughout the map is what it was. So there's the port, which I'm not sure what the port is. I'll have to look on the map for that. I guess there's dust particles and driving on the dirt road now. So I guess the port is the area north of the city there, it looks like. So another like little area that got added in. I think that was in there as like a kind of boxed out area previously. Let's explore the rest of this updated beach town real quick and see what else this has here. So yeah, I mean, we've got the diner, we've got, and that was something that they started doing a little while ago, was these areas with interiors. So there you've got like a little business or restaurant or something, and you've got a bunch of businesses with interiors. And stuff like that. So what we got out here? So this is kind of interesting, a little beachfront here. I think we'll just take our car out. I was debating on getting out, parking the car, and then walking around here, but this is kind of a bigger area. So you got like a whole boardwalk thing going on here, which is really neat. There isn't any civilians over here yet, so hopefully that's something that they plan to add, is civilians over in this area, because it looks like they're not spawning or generating here quite yet. I'm guessing that this is a more recent addition. This boardwalk is absolutely huge. Obnoxiously so. Like, imagine having to do a call here. Why is this so big? This is a little too big. So this is kind of getting into that area where I was talking about, where something doesn't necessarily make sense or actually feel lived in. It's just thrown in for the purpose of being thrown in. Like, having a boardwalk makes sense. You know, this is like supposed to be a beach town and stuff, right? And like I said, as odd as that feels in the desert. Sorry guys, there's a garbage truck outside now. Having a beach in the desert's kind of weird in the first place, but you know, the fact that this is supposed to be like a beach and that's the whole identity of the town and stuff, having a boardwalk like this and having this like big dock that goes out makes sense. But honestly, I feel like that should start closer to the water and not go out nearly as far. If anything, it should go a little bit further in the water and start like, it should really start basically over here at like farthest. This thing is obnoxiously big. Like, that just feels absurdly large compared to the size of the town and everything. And that's kind of the issue, is that like, if that was like New York or something, it was a big dock like that, that would make sense. But this is just, it's like this small tiny little town for the most part. It's like all single story structures, and then this massively large dock. This one seems much more reasonably sized, however. This one feels pretty normal. Like, this is fine. Again, a little bit longer than arguably what needs to be, and then there could stand to be like more stuff on here, like throw up some like food concession stands and stuff maybe. But that's a little bit more bearable. Still a neat area though. I do like the area. I guess we are gonna need to get out of our car because I want to go down here and check out these businesses real quick. And I don't see an easy way down there for the vehicle. There's these paths that go along here, which presumably there's some way to get a car down here from like around further down, but I don't know how. So we've got a couple of businesses here, like outdoor things, but I don't see any interiors or anything, which is fine. That's okay. I have no issue with that. Yeah, like a little objects and stuff again, though, just making it feel kind of like a public beach, like a beach you'd see in California or something, probably. Yeah, neat area again. Really, the biggest thing that is missing from it, and well, there's some tweaks in some of the one of the docks is a little too big, but really the only thing that is missing from over here is civilians walking around. And honestly, now that I'm looking at it, there's just not any civilians walking around in this whole part of the city. I hadn't noticed initially, but now it's definitely standing out to me. But yeah, okay, so that's a pretty cool new area there. And again, traffic lights do seem to be busted throughout the city here. Hopefully, too, he plans on finishing the train tracks. That would be kind of a neat thing to actually have the working like train throughout the city too. I don't know how that would work with like the way vehicle collision is, though. I guess that would be kind of my primary concern, but that could be cool. You could have like a really low chance of spawning into like a car collides with train or something like that, or car stuck on tracks type of deal. Percent your calls. These are new, so we got power. It looks like power lines, I guess. You know, or are these just like street lamps? What are these? I guess, yeah, I guess those are power lines. It's just kind of weird because they're just like poles. They don't have any of the like the brackets or whatever that you would call them. I'm not too familiar with the actual terminology of power lines. I don't work with power lines and utility stuff. But it's just kind of weird just seeing like a pole in the ground like that. I mean, I've seen stuff like that in the past, but I haven't seen anything like that in quite a while personally. Alright, so we're getting back in the city, and this looks a little bit different coming in here. Now, they said City East got reworked, but honestly, it looks like even over here, I don't know what he considers City East, but this all looks way more built up. So there's a bunch of much larger structures and stuff down here, much more urban feel. And yeah, it kind of gets back into some of the stuff we've seen before, but even this all feels still kind of new. It definitely feels like, yeah, a lot of larger structures and stuff down here. Do we want to stop at that department? Let's stop over here and take a peek in real quick. I just want to drive around and see if we can see any AI standing around, because they're supposed to obviously be the AI. I didn't see anybody. I don't really necessarily care to go in. We're supposed to be going to the port, and I'm trying not to lose my way too much here, but again, this has all been changed up, and it was far more than what I was anticipating. I was expecting to hop in here and be like, okay, yeah, there's a couple things, like, yeah, the menu's gotten updated, there's been some quality of life changes, and like, talk about the update to 1.0, leaving early access, and future plans for the game. And I thought that would be a lot of what we did, and that I wouldn't have that much to see, but I, again, genuinely shocked hopping in here, because there was a lot more than what I was anticipating in terms of changes and visual upgrades to these cities and stuff, and all the traffic. Again, the biggest issue I've seen so far is that we've set our traffic and pedestrians to max, and we're supposed to have like 40 traffic, and you know, certain areas we're seeing that, certain areas we're not. I do hope that they update the interstates. I would love to see, because that's one of my things that I really like doing, is like the highway patrol stuff. Growing up watching Chips, I want to do the highway patrol stuff, like just sitting out there and doing all that and stuff, hanging out there, because that was one cool thing that the game had, was that it had the interstate and worked. You could sit out there and do like speed traps and stuff, and you had kind of like state trooper looking uniforms, but the vehicles out there, you can't really do speed traps on the interstate because of the way the vehicles spawn in. Do these lift? Oh, those actually lift? I didn't know that. That's cool. I'm driving the wrong way in here, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm not too concerned with the law today, or trying to carry things out. I mean, normally I play kind of a little bit loose in terms of regular gameplay, but today we're just throwing it all out the window, just zero regard for it. Okay, so the port's kind of an interesting area. It's pretty decent. I mean, it definitely feels like an operational port again. So good job there. Not nearly as much to see or do by appearance as something like Beach Town or the city, but it's a visually distinct area, and I mean, there's definitely obviously the possibility for some of the calls that you get in the other areas, like arsonist or incident with like a person with a gun or something like that here. And then of course there's the the potential roleplay applications, and that's something we talked about before, is obviously the long-term health of the game really gets impacted, I think, by the roleplay tools and the modding tools for the game. I think that's where the long-term applications are, is putting the ability to do that stuff in the community's hands as much as possible. So giving them tools to do that. So it'd actually be really cool if the community could like make missions. There's the new particle effects for driving on dust and dirt too, which is kind of neat. It's not perfect. It's a little weird looking, but it is a big improvement over what we had, which was none. And then it leaves tracks and stuff in there. So we got a little bit of a warehouse here. Can we get out? Yeah, the wrong thing here. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, imagine playing. I know there's some groups that play this as like a community, probably not a huge amount, but imagine playing and you're playing as part of a group, and it's like you're doing like a police chase, and you have like a guy who's playing like the suspect or whatever, and he's running from you guys, and he comes in here through this warehouse, and you're like having to chase him through the doors, and he's blasts open through the door, and then it's like he's coming through the fence, and he's getting into this area trying to escape you guys, or trying to get down to the port. This would be a bad place to run on foot, but I kind of envisioning this, talking about it, and it sounds exciting to me. Let's see. I can't remember what's the key for the spawning in of stuff. F6. Or speed above speed signs limit. So this doesn't look like it's been changed too much. It looks like maybe we've gotten a couple new signs here. I can't remember what all signs the last time I looked were. I don't remember this road close sign, and I don't remember the wet floor sign. We had the barrels and the cones and stuff, I think, and this one here, but I don't recall this one. So you can set the time and stuff still. Physics. The physics seems like kind of a weird one to me still, that, and the player move speed. Like, it's nice that they have that stuff, but it is a little unusual. And then, yeah, the civilian mode. So not really a lot of changes there. I think, yeah, for me, obviously there's a lot of quality of life improvements. There's graphical improvements and stuff that could be yet to be made. I think the big things, if I were to suggest to the developer, I mean, the K9 thing sounds cool. Obviously the day-night cycle, like I said, that makes a lot of sense to me. There's a lot of stuff in there he talked about that makes a lot of sense. for me, I'd probably focus on one is, again, bringing in like character customization and stuff like that, improving the character models if you can, and like adding the variety or players to basically have an appearance separate from the uniform. And again, I get that you can do retextures and stuff like that, but not everybody's versed in doing retextures or wants to do retextures to change their appearance, and having that straight out of the box, again, that's where the strength of this game lies. I think that's something that should be looked at with a higher priority than like canines, for instance. So character customization. Probably the other thing, obviously, again, expanding roleplay tools and stuff like that. So, you know, we've got the modding support already in to an extent. Obviously, if the modding support could be put over to Steam Workshop and then have like a mod launcher, kind of like Arma 3 or something like that, that would be a lot better, where you could download stuff without having to go to a third party. I know some people have messaged me previously on my videos regarding modding, saying modding stuff wasn't working for them, and unfortunately I don't have a solution for that. But, you know, having that on Steam Workshop would definitely mitigate a lot of that issue for a lot of people, I suspect. And then, so, you know, having the Steam Workshop support improved, modding support, you know, adding in the ability for players to do custom missions and stuff and upload those to the workshop and have those randomly generated would be really cool. Again, the roleplay tools and character customization, those would be the big three for me. Not necessarily any specific order. Obviously, those are all kind of bigger tasks. As odd as it might sound, I would imagine doing like a K9 system would probably be easier than implementing some of the changes to like modding, for instance, that I just suggested. I know the modding one would be especially difficult. Adding in Steam Workshop support and tools for players to do mission creation potentially, but I think that's definitely, if anything, if you want the game to continue on long term even after you quit supporting the project, I think that's the way to go, is those tools that allow the players to kind of really build the game up on their own and continue to, in a sense, develop the game. You know, and it's not full development, it's not going to necessarily be the full width of tools or breadth of tools that you have as a developer, but having stuff like the ability to create and upload missions for the player base, or share your missions with friends or whatever else, I think that's great, and I definitely think that's going to improve things. This is weird. I wonder if something's planned here with this this area. This, I'm pretty sure that didn't used to be a thing. I certainly don't remember this being a thing here. Of course, again, I think I usually would get off the interstate by then. What's down here, if anything? Not anything. Yeah, so like this here, talking about stuff that doesn't really make any sense, and again, as a developer, what he does tend to do, or what I've noticed over the years, is builds up these areas a little bit before he actually adds stuff in. So like when he has plans to add on or expand in the city, he'll put like down the roads and stuff, and then he'll put down you know, like construction areas before he actually puts in the construction stuff. So it is certainly a possibility something's planned with that further on, and I don't know, but that feels like something that wouldn't exist, just like a road that goes down and then loops around and there's no apparent rhyme or reason to it. It's just like, hey, we paid a bunch of taxpayer money to like stop a road and like loop it. I'm sure that somebody's like, well, there's a road like that by me, but it's not common. It's not an average thing. And you know, maybe even if you want to just like have that road down there for seemingly no reason, just throw like a house or two down there, or even like a ruined house if you don't want like to have a full-on like proper house for whatever reason. But I'm kind of getting off on a tangent rant here. I'm diverging from the original point, which again was continued development of the game, which, yeah, is modding tools, support and stuff. Obviously, bugs and optimization fixes. So right there, I was talking earlier about the interstate, the highway stuff, and cars spawning in, and how it's not really viable to do like speed traps and stuff. And that's because right there, what just happened with those cars spawning in, right there, and basically going from a complete stop, and the garbage truck's back, or the recycling truck, one of them's out there. Okay, so we're up at Codtown now, and checking this out. There's a guy up on that roof. Sir, are you all right? Is he just gonna walk off? See, oh, he's just like literally hanging out up there. I don't think he can leave. Is there a way to get up there? I can't drive over this. Really? Okay. Interesting. Can I drive over this one? Not very well. So, I can't recall my last time in Codtown, but it feels like it's maybe been updated a little bit more since last time I played, but it looks pretty similar to the last time I was here, I'm pretty sure. Not vastly different, but a little bit improved, which is fine. It was already fairly solid. Obviously, there is like room for some of these places with interiors to be furnished and stuff like that, which actually some of them seem to be. I don't think this was like furnished before this quote-unquote pizza place. I say quote-unquote pizza place because this looks like a convenience store. James Pizza and Pasta. I mean, I guess if they sell pizza and pasta, it's technically not a lie. You know, and yeah, anyways, kind of getting back on topic here. I guess we'll take maybe a call if we can see if we get one of those like burglaries or something like that, or shoplifter events, just because I want to see one of those inside of a location. But you know, the thing is when I'm sitting here and I'm talking about potential updates to the game in terms of, hey, I'm asking for modding, support, character customization, and roleplay tools, I'm not saying do that at the cost of stopping, you know, optimization and bug fixing either. Obviously, that sort of thing is regardless of what your plans are for future updates and stuff like that. That's definitely something you should be working to update and maintain and fix up as you go along, regardless of what you've got going on. What is with the people on the rooftops in this town? Says the guy with his car on the sidewalk. So yeah, I mean that's something that, again, it will continue to need to be addressed. I know that there's usually one person. The reason I say this because there's always that one person who's like, you say something like, hey, I'd love to see these updates, and you're like, no, they need to fix bugs. And it's like, well, yes, they need to continue to fix the bugs too. Yes, that needs to happen. But you know, again, it's like that's one of those things that should, well, it does need to continue to happen. It's like creating new content will create new bugs anyways, so that's something that should continue to happen. So the mugging in progress, I think, is a little bit different. There's the shoplifters, and then there's a I think they said the other one was a person with a gun that's inside of buildings. What is it? Just double check here. Armed robbery. So yeah, we need shoplifting or armed robbery if we wish to do either of those things here. Actually, let's see real quick here. I'm kind of curious. I want to put the database and CAD and stuff up, see if there's any changes there. These all look the same. I was just kind of curious because they'd updated how you interact with it, so I figured there might be some updates to the visual appearance of how it looked on there, but there's not, which is fine. There doesn't need to be. They are perfectly fine where they're at right now. I just realized, like, that a lot of dust gets kicked up, and it's not too bad when you're driving like full speed, but as soon as you start to slow down a little bit, that dust actually does start to kind of kick up to the point where you can't see the road in front of you. And I've just realized if you're in a police chase with another player through these dirt roads, that's going to be absolutely bonkers. And like a high-speed pursuit, because I'd imagine, oh, we stuck it. Oh, we stuck that. That was amazing. But yeah, imagine being like a high-speed pursuit and you're like chasing after a player or even an AI, and like you won't be able to see the road in some cases. That's gonna be interesting for sure. Oh, it says sandbox menu there. I just realized, but yeah, hopefully we'll get a call here in a second. We'll drive around a little bit further, but I'm guessing we're maybe not going to get so lucky and get one of those calls. But I would love to have just like an interior call just to kind of check that out. We'll drive around though. I want to go back and check out City East a little bit more too, because that did get updated as well. And we did drive through it a teeny bit, but I didn't really take a look at it. That's some more signs, yeah. A lot of objects all over the place, I'm really just noticing. Yeah, and in terms of performance, like I said, I was really concerned with the performance issues. We did have some loading in on the initial start of play, but outside of that, it's been pretty decent. It's not been too bad. Yeah, again, the car is loading in too close to the player is really the only issue I have, and there's performance reasons for doing that. I understand, but that needs to be spun out a little bit further, because having a car spawn in front of you at high speeds and crashing because of it, or trying to do traffic and do, like, you know, speed traps or whatever, and the cars are spawning, they're only going like 25 miles an hour on the interstate because they're spawning in so close to you at a full stop, and I have to like pick up speed. It doesn't make much sense, and it's actually kind of frustrating. Okay, so yeah, I mean, over here is nothing super crazy or anything. It's pretty similar to a lot of the city stuff we had before. Obviously, coming into the city off the interstate definitely felt pretty new. These are new structures over here, though. These definitely stand out to me. Oh, nice area, though. Oh, so over here is a little bit like this particular section's definitely a little bit different feeling, though. The area we're coming out of didn't feel so different. This is a one-way road? It is. I didn't see that on the other end. Didn't see the do not enter, but now I see that. Missed that. It's busy looking at everything else. It's probably a one-way road, right? No? Alright. Yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it. We're just getting like muggings in progress and stuff like that, which again, those don't spawn on, at least to my knowledge, they don't spawn on any of the interiors. There could be, I guess. I don't know. But that's gonna be it. We'll have to actually play this and do some proper calls and stuff in some of these other areas and stuff now. Like Beach Town's had its updates, and this parts of the city has. We haven't really actually done a city focus thing in a while either, so that's something we need to do at some point. But I definitely want to hear from you guys. That was kind of the whole point on this one. I saw that the game was coming out of early access. I know there's quite a few of you that actually watch these videos. What do you guys think about flashing lights going out of early access? Do you guys think it's ready to say, hey, this game's no longer early access? What sort of future development would you guys like to see? What would you want to see development focus on going forwards once early access has officially ended? Again, I don't want to hear about bug fixes, guys. Again, that should be just a non-discussion. That should just be something that happens all the time regardless. But in terms of actual development for the game, future changes, additions to the game, what do you guys want to see? That's what I want to hear from you guys. On top of course, your thoughts on just whether or not the game is ready to leave early access, and that's something justifiable at this point in time. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all in the next one.